So the gates to liberation, when we practice stopping and awareness, mindfulness, paying attention to our life as it turns up, the Buddhist teaching defined three kinds of experiences which are not themselves awakening or enlightenment, but they are gates to awakening. And the more we experience these three gates, the more we are closer to liberation. We are closer to freedom. We are closer to something, as I say, kadosh or divine. The first gate is the gate of dukkha, or discomfort, or unsatisfactoriness. And we all think, oh, we know all about this because it's the first noble truth of the Buddha that life is suffering. It's not quite like that. The Buddha didn't say life is suffering. The Buddha simply said there is suffering in the experience of all living beings who are trying to stay alive. And it doesn't matter whether it's a human being or an ant or a dog or a donkey. We suffer in the effort to stay alive, to be comfortable, to survive. So there is suffering in the human experience, but life isn't suffering, life is just life. The gate to our awareness through suffering or through difficulty is a gate. In other words, there is meaning in our discomfort. Our discomfort is not just a nuisance to get rid of, but there is meaning in it. It is a gate to liberation. And you might think, I can see some of you thinking, I don't want this gate. I'll give you another one. I'll have the second or the third. I don't want this one. It doesn't suit me. But our experience of unsatisfactoriness teaches us, firstly, that we're not in charge. Secondly, that we are in a situation of struggle and uncertainty about ourselves and our life. And thirdly, if we look at this pain of life that all of us has as being a kind of a constant partner to us in our life, when we think about it, it's very, very subtle. It's not just a pain in the back or the fact that we feel uncomfortable or hot or cold. It's that we spend our whole life being busy trying to be more comfortable. We can exist 3 hours and then we need to eat. We know we're going to die. We struggle to be happy. There's an old Indian phrase that said, true happiness is only arising when I don't need to be happy. Our need to be happy is a form of suffering. Our need to be comfortable is a form of suffering. Our life struggle is a form of suffering. So it's something 24 hours. If we look at it like that, it is not just when we're sick. It's also when we're healthy and we're busy trying not to be sick. Or when we are happy and we're trying not to be unhappy. Or when we are living, we're trying not to die. Or when we are okay, but until we're threatened. Or we feel something is threatening us, we have fear. Or we have anxiety. Or we have concerns or worries. Or who doesn't? So this is a very big thing. And when we look at human suffering, we realize it doesn't belong to us. It is in the nature of the world and our contact with the world to do that. Pain is not personal. And that's, we see it in discomfort in the body. Okay, it's a discomfort in the body. It doesn't need to be my discomfort. I don't need to be the sufferer of this suffering. Suffering needs a sufferer. right? Sevel doresh sovel, mishush sovel. We see that pain and suffering is just by itself, is just discomfort that arises, not, I can't control it, I'm not in charge of it, it is in the lived experience. There is moments of joy and moments of sadness. So this is a liberating experience. This is one of the gates to liberation. Pain and difficulty are something that shows us something infinite. Real meeting with difficulty and pain has in it the nature of taking us out of ourself and our concerns. If we really meet it as it is, not running away from it, not trying to push it into a box, close it, not giving it necessarily acamol. I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with acamol, don't get me wrong, but the acamol, spiritual or psychological acamol, psychological painkillers are not what we're about when we're practicing. Practicing, we are meeting the pain and seeing it as a gate that shows us something universal. And out of it comes compassion, out of it comes wisdom. Compassion is defined as understanding and being with pain beyond the self. Pain which is part of the universe. Pain which belongs to everybody. That is compassion. So it brings us to compassion, it brings us to release, it brings us to letting go from our individual difficulty or individual subjective pain of life.